Easy now. Hands where she can see them.
What happened?
Ooh, what are you doing, Rean? Hello YouTube, and welcome to another video on the Ashenchevalier. Thank you so much for joining me. Just before we jump into the video, I wanted to highlight that this will contain heavy spoilers for Trails of Coldsteel, so if you've not yet played it and intend to, click off this video and come back later. This video will be pretty short given that it's only covering the prologue portion of the game, but I'll be posting follow-up videos to cover the rest of the game as soon as I'm able, so stay tuned. And with that out of the way, let's dive back into the pits of Gehenna. The year was 1204 of the Septian calendar, and all across Erebonia, spring was in bloom. We are first introduced to our protagonist Rean arriving at Trista, situated on the outskirts of the imperial capital Heimdall. While standing outside of Trista station admiring the scenery, a blonde-haired girl bumps into him, falling to the ground. Rean helps her up, and they know that they are wearing the same red-coloured uniform, whilst others on the train were wearing a mostly green uniform. Neither of them had really given it much thought until they were on the train to Trista. The blonde-haired girl excitedly remarks that it may mean that they'll be in the same class as each other, and then continues on toward the academy. Rean pulls out his augment and states that it looks a lot fancier than the standard issue augment, and then proceeds toward the esteemed Thor's military academy himself. Just as he enters the gates, a petite girl and a chubby boy approach him, directing him to the auditorium and relieving him of his belongings. Upon his arrival, Rean and the other new students are addressed by Principal Van Dyke in a formal assembly, and finally Sarah Wallerstein, their instructor, introduces herself and guides them to an old building a little away from the auditorium. In the old schoolhouse, instructor Sarah explains that these 9 selected students will be called Class VII, which is strange given that there are only 5 other classes. Class 1 and 2, which are for nobles only, and classes 3, 4 and 5, which are for commoners only. Class 7 is a distinction from others as it contains both nobles and commoners, much to the green-haired boy's disappointment. The green-haired boy is revealed to be Machias, and he gets into an argument with Jusis, a noble from the house of Albarea, over his noble heritage. Instructor Sarah eventually breaks this up and proceeds to push a slightly concealed button that sends the new students down to a lower floor of the old schoolhouse. Here, tension is built between the blonde girl and Rean, as Rean attempts to save her from falling roughly, only to have her land on him, causing her to get angry and slap him. Poor Rean. It's such a cliche anime girl response though. I kinda wish Rean would have responded with something like, "You landed on me, am I a cushion or something? Get off of me." Once they're all up and brush themselves off, they get a call from Sarah, who instructs them to find their belongings on the tables within this room and put their master cords into their arcus, allowing them to use magic. She alludes to some other features, but doesn't want to bombard them with too much info all at once. Following this, the group of 9 split up. Jusis, Machias and the silver-haired girl go by themselves. The bespectacled, blonde-haired and blue-haired girls go with each other, leaving Rean, the orange-haired boy Elliot Craig and the tall boy Gaius Walsall to form a team and go together. Through the trial beneath the old schoolhouse, they each introduce themselves to each other and eventually reach the end where they fight a stone statue come to life. Laura gets an epic line here. "Well, I didn't expect to find the Dark Ages alive and well down here." I love that. And once they had completed the trial at Thor's military academy, a new class was founded. It would be known as Class 7 and was comprised of 9 promising young men and women who demonstrated considerable aptitude for Arcus, which is a sophisticated new type of battle augment. Our protagonist, Rean, son of a ruling lord from the remote region of Ymir. Alisa Reinford, daughter of the chairman of Erebonia's largest industrial corporation. Elliot Craig, son of a celebrated general and a kind-hearted boy who harbored dreams of becoming a musician. Laura S. Arseid, the daughter of a renowned military family tracing its lineage back to the knights of old. Machias Regnitz, the son of Heimdall's imperial governor. Emma Millstein, the class president and the academy's highest scorer on the entrance exam. Jusis Albarea, son of Duke Albarea, head of one of the Empire's 4 great houses. Claussell, a former Jaeger with extraordinary strength and ability. and Gaius Warzel, an exchange student from the land of Nord, bordering the Empire to the north. Once gathered again, they were then asked to decide whether, knowing the difficulty of the curriculum, they still wished to be a part of Class VII. Each had his or her own reasons, but all of them ultimately heeded the call, and that day, Thor's newest class began. And that concludes the prologue. Stay tuned for chapter 1, and don't forget to continue moving forward relentlessly without looking back. Peace.